He had to get his hockey hair ready. He wanted to know.
I mean, everyone's got a hat on. He's like we live on camera. He's like, yeah, get your hockey hair ready. I got the two dual sprays going.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Christian Kuntz Podcast. I'm here with my boys Trey and Jesse. We got Tiger Hood, the golfer, a.k.a. Swing, behind the boards. We're joined by a very special guest. Let's give it up for Eric Tangradi. Our first hockey guest.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so this is a big one, and again, J.R. Hess. I gotta give J.R. a shout out. J.R. hooked it up, your brother-in-law.
Hey.
But dude, we were already talking. I said I didn't want to. Trey was yelling at me for ruining shit already, but I want to talk about what it's like being from Philly and then playing for the Penguins. And you talked about you hate the Flyers, but you grew up rooting for the Flyers. So what's that like?
Yeah, so I'll kind of go a little bit into my story, my path. I grew up in the inner city of Philadelphia. My dad was a mailman, mom was a waitress. Just got to a point,
gritty.
As a kid growing up with no cable. I don't know if you guys remember, but you can only watch the away games on TV on basic cable. So we couldn't watch any of the home games. So my dad and I would stay up sometimes 9:30, 10 o'clock at night and watch Flyers games. So in the inner city, I'm the sixth ever person from the inner city of Philadelphia to play in the NHL. So having a path to play professional hockey wasn't even on the cards. So I just had this passion. Two older sisters beat the hell out of me, but kind of just gave me my toughness. But for me, it was floor hockey at the local YMCA. Someone told my dad, hey, this kid's pretty good at floor hockey. Why don't you try him on rollerblades? So did roller hockey. Sure enough, another parent was like,
dude, he's pretty good.
Man, your kid's pretty good. Why don't you try him on ice skates? My dad said, well, how the hell do you do that? He's like, well, there's a figure skating place 20 minutes from our house. Why don't you try there? Dad picked me up, drove me over to the figure skating rink, and I learned how to skate as a figure skater. Wow. So if you look at the model of how to create a hockey player in a lab, it's like get him in small, confined areas, which was playing floor hockey in a basketball gym, and then teach him how to skate as a figure skater. So I had this European upbringing in the inner city of Philadelphia.
Wow.
Very, very faith-based myself. So like I feel like I had a calling or a higher power that kind of gave me this direction and path to get into hockey. And sorry to go into depth on that, but as growing up, like the Legion of Doom, the Flyers, Eric Lindros, Michael Remberg, like for some reason, we put everything on the TV screen and it was like, hockey.
How old were you when you first started skating?
When I started,
a lot of these guys are like 2 years old. They skate before they walk.
And that's what's crazy. I started when I was 9, which in today's world, there are kids that have a skating coach at 6 years old.
Yeah.
But for me, it was just I learned everything else about the game first, and then learned to skate later. Where some of the probably happens in football, like hockey IQ is dying in sports. Everybody's like a quick Instagram, TikTok athlete where they want to do the something sexy and pretty, and they forget about like learning the fundamentals and actually watching the game. Like how many kids watch the game? So from 5 to the first time I touched ice skates, I probably watched 400 hockey games. I remember playing Sega Genesis and like doing systems and like back checking and like all these cool hockey things in a video game. So I was learning the game before I played it, where now we're so programmed to be great and do the things that are on the highlight reel instead of like just loving the game.
That is interesting to hear, because you do, like, you could pop on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, type in hockey drills, go outside, do a hockey drill like that, and learn. Not like the authentic way of just kind of figure skating, which is fucking crazy.
I think that's made a lot of different sports soft, though, to be honest with you, because they don't have an understanding of the fundamentals, right, of actually watching the game. Like, you see kids who are all good and talented. Like, I watch the NBA, and everybody has the same moves. You understand what I'm saying? Like, people are not creative like they used to be, right? And even watching hockey, I'm late to the game when it comes to hockey, right? Not many black kids played hockey, you know what I'm saying? But, like, for the most part, though, even watching hockey, like, in comparison, right, like, you see guys that have more swag in the older days because they were just out there creating. They played a lot of hockey. They played a lot of games.
Yager,
right? Had a lot of swag, right? But then you got guys nowadays where everybody looks almost the same. Like, even when I watch the NBA, I'm like, y'all all make the same moves. Like, there's no flash, there's no nothing to the era. And then you watch football, everybody's doing the same thing. And I feel like it's coming from, like, people not watching the sport and then not going outside and just playing. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has a trainer now. Bro, I know you didn't have a trainer. You know what I'm saying? So, like, people were out there we were figuring it out. So I think that plays a large role in
and I also think, like, grit. We've gotten to a point where like nothing against like mental health. I believe in that stuff, but like, is it anxiety or adversity, right? Like we haven't been put through enough adversity today, where there's just like we're all getting put in adverse situations. I played street hockey against 14-year-old kids as an 8-year-old. How many times I went home crying, right? But now it's like I want my kid to be on an all-star team with a bunch of other 8-year-olds. It's like, let's just like get some scar tissue back in sports and create some tough environments for our athletes. And that's just the upbringing that organically I had. Like someone asked me like, what's the secret sauce to my success? And I'm like, just woke up every day and just loved it and naturally just got better. Like my dad didn't take me to my skills coach who took me to my trainer to this, to that. It was like, I'm going down the street, I'm going to get my ass beat again, but I'm going to get a little bit better than I was yesterday. And I think that's what's missing.
Do you guys see that in both your sports? And like, is there a hope that there are going to be the guys, and maybe some guys have already done it, but merging the two together where they are doing the gritty, like going out there, getting their teeth kicked in, but then also like going home and able to actually, okay, where did I mess up here? Because I think as the pendulum swings, you never had that. Now people are overdoing it, just looking at it online. But I think in the middle of that is a world where you actually go out there, play, do the gritty stuff, put in the work, play against people that are going to kick your ass, but then you could go home, you could look at tape, okay, why did I do this wrong? What's a way to get better? Or do you guys see that with people now that we're in this transitional phase, or is it, maybe 5 to 10 years down the road before we actually get people that are 24 hours a day consuming, how to get better?
What? You want to talk?
No, I coach, so I'm going to let you go ahead and go first.
I think it's coming back a little bit. I feel like I don't know. I feel like kids are starting to get to the point because there are so much resources for them to see, like how hard these dudes are working. Like dudes post their workouts. Like I'm not a big post my workout whatever type, but kids get a chance to see guys working, and whether it's if he's working out for 20 minutes or he's actually working, like they get to see it at least, and it could inspire them to work harder. I know you could touch harder on that, but I don't really know. That's a deep question. Yeah. You don't really hit me. You hit our guest with the deep question. Yeah. You don't hit. You kind of stunned me there.
I mean, I think we're still going through you kind of use it like off the stock market. Like we're going through a correction, right? Like I think that there's been so much invested in the ROI. What's the return investment on my child or my athlete? Right. And it's like I've paid out all this money for all these people, and why when they get to a senior in high school are they not getting where they should be? So I think we're still going through like that correction of like you can't pay to just get athletes to reach the pinnacle of sports. You can get them to get the best version of themselves, but they might come up short at some point. Yeah. And that's where I really struggle. Like now that I'm a hockey coach, I coach hockey at Shadyside Academy, like high school kids, I see like what is the true, like what is success? What is failure? Before for us, it was like, just go out, have fun, do the best that you can, and then let's see what tomorrow brings. Where now, like, there's all these investments and all these different avenues for these athletes, and then you have 18-year-old kids that truly reach depression because they feel like they failed. All this sacrifice, all this commitment. Where, like, naturally, there's something that comes into your life at 16, 17 years old, which is, like, the it factor. And everybody thinks, like, the it factor is, like, God just said, you're it. And he's got something that I don't have. It's like, no, the it factor is, like, when you wake up, what am I going to do better to make myself a better player? And that sometimes doesn't mean I got in the car that my dad drove me to the workout. It's like, when I got home from that workout, what am I doing with myself? Scrolling Instagram? Am I on TikTok? I'm like, I love those platforms for us adults, but for kids, like, what are we doing on a daily basis to become a better human being and a better athlete? And that's the it factor. And the it factor is not just, I think I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be. It's like, I'm just living and having fun. And sometimes that means learning, adapting, facing adversity, challenges. And I think that's where we're really coming up short in youth sports right now, is like putting these kids in those environments.
I would highly agree.
Trey talks about
that's something that I was going to talk about is, like, I think right now the reason why we're losing that grit is because parents are soft. And the reason why I say parents are soft, not the fact that you shouldn't love on your kid. You should. 100% you should, right? But they're not letting them get their ass kicked anymore. Right? Like, a lot of us went out and played with the older kids. That's why you got good at something. You're a little brother. That's why you're the best out of the brothers. You know what I'm saying? Like,
hopefully they don't hear that.
you took the lumps. You know what I'm saying? So I'm seeing nowadays, especially as like a football coach, the standard of hard work has changed. Right? A lot of people say, like, I work hard. And then you watch the kid do the drill, and it's like, bro, you're like going 70%, but in your head you said you're going 100.
Yeah.
And then I bring a kid that's from college or a guy from the NFL to come train with the kids, and they're like, oh, so that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
So that pendulum, like he's talking about, I could see it swinging, but you have to put kids in situations to understand it, because they think in their heads they're working hard, right?
Yes.
But in our day, in terms of working hard, like I'm going until I throw up.
Yeah.
If I throw up, it was a good day of work. You know what I'm saying? These kids go until they feel just a little bit exhausted and then go ask mom, like, did I do a good job? No offense, that's okay. But, like, bro, when you was getting your ass kicked against a 14-year-old, did mom kiss your boo-boo?
Yeah, right.
Like, I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
Like, and that's missing right now, bro. Like, kids don't even play football on concrete or hockey on concrete or basketball outside.
Yeah, that's
Like,
crazy.
I want to say this too. It was something that you said, and again, this kind of could go to all you guys as well that are more invested in the field currently. I was just thinking about this while you guys were talking about everything. Are athletes more depressed now, do you think? Because, and what I mean by that is, like, back in the day, you just played, right? You just played. If you got your ass kicked, like, you went home and you did your thing. But, like, now, you know, if you got your ass kicked, then you go home and then you see your buddy online that, again, maybe looks like he's, like, performing, which he's maybe going 70%. But on Instagram, it looks cool. The edit's really good and all this shit. But, like, I think it's an interesting dynamic for even a kid that's working hard. I'm saying, like, even a kid that's like really putting it out there and saying, like, well, why didn't I get those offers? Like, my bro just posted, he got 15 offers, I get one. Like, I wonder if it's probably a true statement that athletes are more depressed this day and age just because of social media and the comparison,
I'd say so,
and they don't even
Yeah.
know it in comparison to back in the day.
Yeah.
I'd say so.
Yeah, and
That's how I would think so,
here's what
too.
it is. It's what is the self-gratification of sport now? It's what you said. It's the
social
Instagram
media.
posts. It's
Yeah.
the social
Yeah.
media. It's
Yeah.
we have something in hockey called elite prospects. Okay, that shows the database of every one of your stats since you were 12 years old.
Yeah.
So I could basically manipulate my mind into saying, wow, that kid who got drafted in the first round, I had more points than him when he was 15 years old. How is he a first rounder and I'm not?
Right.
That's a depressing comment.
Right.
Where it's like, what am I supposed to do next year? Well, the guy that I was just as good at on that team went to this league and I'm not at that league. That's a depressing comment. Like, for me, I didn't know what tomorrow
even
looked
know.
like. We didn't know because there was no platform in social media to tell me, like, if I'm not him, well, then I failed. And then if I'm not him, should I stop working out today? Like, he made it and I didn't. Like, dude, you're 17.
Yeah.
People develop later. Like, you can use it as motivation or you can use it as depression. But I 100% agree with you that there is just too much information out there to show kids what their path is supposed to be.
100%.
When, like, look at your story. Your story's awesome.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank
Like,
you.
you've had to grind every step of the way. If I would have told you when you committed to Duquesne, right, like you were going to play in the NFL, you might laugh at me.
We would've laughed
right?
at you.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. Like 2 years before I was drafted, I got cut by my youth team in Philadelphia. Right? Philadelphia at 16U, I got cut by the Philadelphia Junior Flyers team. That was the best thing that ever happened in my life. Because I went home and I just said, F it. Like, I'm going to prove you wrong. In today's society, it's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I had it.
another sport.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, I didn't know that at 16U that if I didn't make that team, my dreams were done. But kids today are being programmed and trained by social media, by stats, by everything else that they can't control, that they're done.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Yeah,
It's that
I always
instinct.
thought it was cool too because I shout out to the All the Smoke podcast with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. So they would talk
pod.
about like balling out and like, you know, where they were from, like Chicago or New York, or Knuckleheads is the other one with Quinn Richardson and Darius Miles. And they would talk about like, yeah, they were the guy on their block or in their city or in their street, and then they go to these camps. Now you could watch these camps. You
Right.
could watch so-and-so across in California, and you're in New York. You could watch him online and be like, oh, shit, he's pretty good. But they would ball out over here, and then they would get to a camp and then realize, like, oh, they're like maybe the 16th best guy in that building right now when they were the shit. So it was always cool hearing from them just showing up to, like, you know, hear about the Rucker Parks and the famous places you go. And then that's where it, like, really got handled. But, like, now it's like you could watch that, and it might tear kids away from even, I'll never be that guy, so I'm not going to do it. But they're just playing, having a good time, and then they show up and they really get to like line up with some dude that they've been kind of hearing about. Oh, did you hear about this guy out across the state? Like,
It creates fear.
yeah,
I ain't gonna lie.
and it makes you work, right?
It
That's another
creates
thing.
fear. You see a lot of kids right now, man. They see a kid that's 6'4", a Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah.
And you don't know what you really got because you ain't really worked that hard. automatically they're in fear, right?
Yeah.
So like that depression factor, it comes from looking at somebody else's plate. But I always had to tell myself, even trying to get to the league, like that statement, I done whipped his ass 7 times in practice. How is he in the league and I'm not? Right. I don't know what he had to do to get there, my man. Like that's his plate. Yeah. You can't watch somebody else's plate. You got to deal with the plate that's in front of you. You know what I'm saying? So that's the hard part in this newer generation, that people don't take control over their own circumstance. Right. Because all you have is all you have, right? Like, I can't control that he got 10 scholarships. That's his lifestyle. That's not mine, right? So you got to do what you got to do. Me personally, I was going to camps and trying to whoop ass because I didn't have scholarships. So if I knew you had a scholarship and you were there, pull up on me. Because we need to go get this money, right? Yeah. So it's definitely, I think that you're right, but I think it's becoming a little bit more depressive because kids can see other people getting what they want and they're not getting it.
Yeah, and I also think, like, my dad had the best quote. My dad, he said, "The world needs ditch diggers and so do hockey coaches," right? Like, everybody wants to be a superstar, but then you get to a point as an athlete where it's like, I might have to fight. I was never a fighter, but I was a skill guy. I scored 40 goals every year in juniors and in the American League. But when I got to the NHL, I wasn't there to score goals. So I had to find a way to be a ditch digger and had to, like, get myself out. Like, the teams need gritty guys that aren't skilled.
I want to talk to you about that because that's like a main thing that I want. The hockey that lights a fire. I love that about hockey. Like, you have guys, your superstar gets hit, dudes right in that face,
ready to get it
immediately, like dropping gloves, fighting. Are there people that are like assigned to that? If Crosby gets hit, like, your ass, Tango out. Fight that dude, right? Like, are people assigned that, or like, how does that go down?
So that's like,
or is it just like a golden rule? Crosby gets hit.
It's kind of the golden rule, and that's what's making hockey, in our opinion. Like, people watch hockey and they're like, man, this is still like gory. This is like the Roman Coliseum. Hockey's gotten soft. Like, today, hockey is softer than it was 5 years ago and 10 years ago. And we have something like what's called the code. And the code is the players police the game. The refs are just there to
get berated by you guys.
Yeah, get berated because we have a lot more leeway with the officials than any other sport. I mean, I've said some things that, like, but we have this code, and it's like, basically there are no liberties on the ice. Like, if you hook somebody, power play, make them pay on the scoreboard. But you will not cheap shot our superstar. If you do, somebody better be ready to answer the bell. Meaning, if Sidney Crosby were to cheap shot their best player, like, no one's going to fight Sidney Crosby. But what's going to happen is someone on the Penguins is going to, like, make somebody else go through some pain, whether that's fighting, physicality, something. So we just have this code where play the game the right way, or be prepared to sacrifice your life against our toughest player. So old school hockey warm-ups, you'd see the red line, right? That separates the home team and the away team in warm-ups, and they warm up for 20 minutes. Old school hockey, you'd have your tough guy, no helmet on, nice, awesome slick back, just stretching at center ice and staring at the opponent's end. Like, okay, that's our gladiator. Where's yours? Okay, he'll go stretch, line up right across from him. They might touch the puck for 2 minutes in an 18-minute warm-up because they don't care about the puck. They don't care about the game. They are there with the sheriff badge, and they're ready to police the game if they need to.
Let me ask you something. So, like, a guy like Georges Laraque, that's who comes to mind. He played for the Pens for a little. I don't know if you guys crossed paths at all, but that was a name I remember where he would drop the glove. He was the fighter instantly. Like, how skilled are the guys that are designated as the fighters? Like, they're still good enough to be in the NHL, obviously, or are they mainly there to fight?
They're there to fight. Like, there are probably
that's a hell of a job, bro.
Awful job. So I'll give you the kind of the dynamic of how the fighter's world works. Okay, so you're playing in a rivalry game. The other team sets their lineup first. Some games, the visiting coach will start the fourth line and put the heavyweight on the ice. That's his way of telling the home team, we're starting this thing off with a bang. So then the home coach says, all right, we're going to start our tough guy. So internally, both of these fighters on both teams know my coach is starting me to create a spark. This game's momentum is going to start by a fight before the puck drops.
I like that
and whoever wins that fight, well, we got the momentum before it even started. So that's the premeditated fights that you see where, like, before the face-off, it's like, hey, man, how you doing? How are the kids? Good. You ready to go? Sure. And that's how some of them start. I'm not exaggerating that. There will be a friendly conversation. Hey, man, how's your family? All right, you ready to go? All right, let's go. Drop the gloves, helmets off. Now we're going to fight.
So what's the rule once the fight's happening? Because, like, they never throw punches. Like, you'll see a couple in the playoffs when they get into it. Like, they're kind of like, you could hit your head on the fucking ice and die. So, like, what is the rule with the fighting? Like, guys are on the ground. It's a, like, friendly, we're done.
That's the code which makes hockey so beautiful in my mind. Like,
right.
I'm going to try to kill you. You fall, we're done. My hands, I'm not going to throw any sucker punches or anything nasty. Me and you are going to fight. I'm going to try to beat you up. You're going to try to beat me up. If one of us falls, we're done. I mean, I've seen fights where somebody gets knocked unconscious to the ground and the guy who did it drops to a knee and starts patting his back, being like, "You all right, buddy? You all right, brother?"
Yeah.
Like, that's just kind of like our code, what makes the game so special. And then the other types of fights are the ones like are the retaliation fights, where in the middle of play, you cheap shot somebody, like it's automatic, we're going. Like when you see some guys hit somebody really, really bad, the first thing they do is turn and throw their gloves off. Like, all right, I did it. I'm going to answer the bell.
Yeah.
So that's
what's
the code.
What's the worst type of like cheap shot in hockey? Like a boarding, like when the guy's head's down. Obviously, you're not. That's boarding, right? I don't know shit about
Yeah,
it.
no, and that's okay. Like I would say blindside hits similar to your game are what we're trying to get out of the game.
Yeah.
So we have something like 3 seconds after the puck moves, then you can finish a guy. You watch the best hits of the 90s on YouTube, like there's like 10 seconds the guy's got his head down and he just gets blown up at center ice.
Oh my God.
So blindside hits, anything to the head, elbows, like those are the ones. I took a really, really bad one in 2011. I think was kind of completely shifted the course of my career. But
I was reading about it. I was gonna ask
so
you.
like those are the types of ones that we just don't want in our game at all, because even the code doesn't protect those types of cheap shots.
So you said that you feel like the game's gotten a little softer, and I feel like every guy that's gone through any sport, like you talk to any basketball guy that's played in the, they're going to say basketball soft now, football soft now. Is that because of rule changes in hockey? Because I know football guys will be like, you guys are soft. We had 2-a-days. We were killing each other, blindside blocks. If you're running down on punt, like your head better be on a swivel because you're getting clean clocked. Like, was there rule changes in hockey that made you believe that it's gotten soft, or is it just like the style of play has changed?
No, it's the rule changes. Like, I'm an Eagles fan growing up from Philly. Like, I had Brian Dawkins jersey. That was my guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Take your soul.
I mean, he was
the best.
He was a walking suspension. Like every one of his hits, he jumped 3 feet in the air, and it was like elbow to the head. Like
Wrestling.
there was no ball in the play, and I loved him, and I loved that. Like Ray Lewis, right? Like those were the guys that like that was the way the game was called back then. The rules have just changed because, I mean, I do believe that these concussions are serious and post athletes' lives is so important. But at the same time, when you start building teams strictly off of skill and speed, like naturally that's going to change the dynamic of the game. But it's definitely the rules that have affected it, and it's always starts at a young age. Like kids now, when you're at 14 years old, I'm watching a hockey game and a kid's going to get hit. He turns his back to the play, he gets hit from behind, and then the kid gets thrown out of the game. That rule has now enforced that I cannot protect myself, and it's going to give my team a power play. It's going to give me an advantage. If I'm going to receive a hit, I'm going to put my shoulder and receive that hit. But now if I just turn my back and get hit into the boards, well, now I'm on the power play for 5 minutes. So we're essentially enforcing our kids not to play the game the right way because of how we're officiating at the youth level.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like
So
a basketball,
it's
right?
kind of a trickle-down effect where you had the flopping in basketball, right? There's kids that are going to the paint, throwing their hands up in the air because that's what they watch on TV.
Jumping into the,
it's
Yeah.
And I think that just goes back to like kids are just not going outside and competing anymore. Like they might go outside, but like to really compete, bro, like it was a guarantee that I was coming home with a scratch or a cut on my face
100%.
every single day. But that's not where my question is leading, because you're from Philly, right?
Gritty.
And I love food. You understand me? So I need to know, what's the best Philly cheesesteak in Philly in your opinion?
So growing up, it was D'Alessandro's. I grew up in I grew up in Roxborough, which is where D'Alessandro's is at. Now Angelo's is getting all the hype right now, and they are amazing. There's another place called Mama's in Belmont Hill, which is off the charts. Stay away from Pat's and Gino's. Those are like kind of like your touristy traps.
That's where
but
I went.
D'Alessandro's is where I grew up. It's what I know, so I got to be loyal to my roots in where I grew up. But that's Deli's is where it's at.
I love it.
I had to know, man. I really did, because I love food, and I want to go Philly just specifically for those cheesesteaks. And then my second question is, I'm starting to see a lot of black athletes get into hockey, right? And hockey's a very expensive sport. So is there like foundations out there that are helping the local inner city kids get into hockey, or how are inner city kids getting into hockey? Because I'm curious, because you don't see a lot of black kids or a lot of black athletes play the hockey game. So how is it moving right now? Like, how are they getting these kids to play?
Yeah, I mean, I think like where it all started is in Toronto. Like the inner city of Toronto is very similar to what you're saying, and I think they have done such a great job because they have community rinks,
Right.
they have programs where they're giving kids equipment to try.
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing that we weren't doing with hockey is giving kids an opportunity to try the game.
Right.
Because to start up to play hockey, it's $2,000. That's ridiculous.
For what? Like the skate? Like,
Skates, shin
how
pads.
much
I mean,
are a pair of skate? Like
a pair of skates right now for a 12-year-old kid is $1,100.
You said $1,100.
fucking-
$11 for a premier pair of skates is $1,100. A stick is $500.
Bro, ain't
I
no
used to
kid in
go
the
through
hood getting that.
72 sticks in a season
in the NHL.
in the NHL. Obviously, they're for free because you're
Yeah.
the league. But so there's all these great programs now where that's translated to the states. Like in Pittsburgh, Sidney Crosby has partnered up with Dick's Sporting Goods. It's called the Sidney Crosby Little Penguins program.
That's cool.
You can sign up for $200. They will fit your kid one time, head to toe, skates, helmet, stick, and give him 8 skill sessions to learn the game of hockey.
Wow.
And that
cool.
so
That's
that's translated to all these other cities in the
Right.
United States, which is basically the gateway to allow kids to try our sport. Now, it's still not perfect because hockey is so expensive,
Right.
and whenever a sport is expensive, that's an opportunity for people to come in and just try to monetize the
Right.
sport. And our sport's been monetized probably worse than any other sport.
For sure.
Because what I tell people is a football player wants to get faster, he just goes to a field and runs.
Right.
Hockey player wants to get faster, it's $375 an hour for ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
That's crazy.
So it is always a challenge that we have as athletes is like we want to open this game up to everybody.
Yeah.
But we're making progress. Like the United States just won the World Junior tournament this year in Canada. They beat
Okay.
Canada for the second time in a row. So like we have this massive population. If we can keep getting kids more involved in hockey, like we should be one of the dominant teams in
For
the
sure,
world,
yeah.
for sure.
Is there an example of something like that happening where a guy goes through a program like that and is able to kind of be like a product of the environment of like, hey, I probably wasn't going to be able to play hockey. I got into it because I think what's interesting is there are certain sports that translate. You got football and basketball, right? Baseball is also kind of up there, a little bit more of an expensive sport, but I mean, I think hockey would be one of those crazy sports to start seeing like the freak of nature athletes being able to get into that. Like, could you imagine like Myles Garrett on like skates? Like if he had the opportunity with like a build like that, are you seeing guys in the league being like, oh, this guy 20 years ago would have never been able to be in the league just because of financial circumstances, but now he's in the league and this is amazing. Like we need to push on that. Is there any example? I don't follow hockey as closely, but is there anything that you've seen from that, or is that in the vision of where they want to take this sport, like getting these?
Yeah, I mean, it's all so fresh and so new.
Yeah.
Meaning, like in the last 5 to 7 years, these
Okay.
programs have really started to take
So
off.
it's brand new.
So I'd say it will start infiltrating the sport. But
Yeah.
Logan Cooley is a Pittsburgh kid.
Uh-huh.
He started in the Little Penguins program. He's got pictures with Sidney Crosby.
awesome.
I mean, he's a superstar for the Utah Hockey Club. I think
Yeah.
they just changed their name. What are
Yeah.
they now? The
Mammoths. Or
Mammoth,
something?
yeah.
Yeah.
Utah Mammoth.
Tucks
So
up.
he's a local kid that went through the Little Penguins program. Same thing, hardworking parents, blue collar, got an opportunity, fell in love with the game, and
That's awesome.
a lot of these youth programs now are offering scholarships for kids that need financial help to play. So there's some requirements that go into it. Like Pittsburgh also has the Willie O'Ree Hockey Academy, which is for African American kids in the city of Pittsburgh to play hockey completely free. They get their gear, and we had Trevor Daly, who was a former Penguin,
Yeah.
who leads that program. So a lot of the teams are making an emphasis to try to grow those programs, and it will end up being for the better because ultimately, like, hockey's revenue is not where any other sport is. And anybody you ask, like when the hockey playoffs are on, we get new fans every single year, but we have no gateway, no place for them to like enter into the sport, and that's starting to come more and more.
Do you think you lose a fan base because of how long the season is? You guys are fucking grinding.
Yeah, I mean, I just think like whenever you have a product like hockey playoffs is just like
It's the best.
it's unbelievable. Like you watch a regular season game, it feels like a preseason game, and everyone's just like,
It does.
I'm gonna wait till playoffs. And why wouldn't you? Because the intensity just jumps off the screen.
Yeah.
So I just think playoffs are always the sport's opportunity to capture new fans and new people.
Yeah.
And now if they can leverage that into summer camps and opportunities for kids to put on gear, which they're doing, I think it'll be beneficial.
Do you think playoff hockey, because I asked, TJ McConnell's a good friend of mine, and I talked to him about playoff basketball versus playoff football, And, for playoff football, the game kind of speeds up where, it's a lot more detailed. I mean, it's obviously the regular season's very detailed. We have a week to prepare, but like playoff football is like everybody's got to be on their shit. You have to do everything right to win the game, and the game speeds up in that sense. But in basketball, he talked about how the game slows down. Each possession is like very valued. Every turnover is very valued. In hockey, I feel like they are flying around in the postseason. What's the difference? Like, why not that juice in the regular season if it's a must-win game for them or something, like a game at home? It just looks different even watching playoff hockey.
Right, and I would say, like, when you watch that, could you imagine your body doing that 82 times in 170 days for the regular season?
No.
Right? So, like, that's not to say, like, we're sandbagging as athletes. We're always out there trying to win a hockey game, but you just don't have the mental capacity, like, in the tank to play with that type of compete for 82 games with travel, where it's like once it's win or go home, something clicks for us. Like, playoff hockey is what you live for. It's some of the best memories I've had in my life. Like, it is just something where you just dig deeper into your body. You almost feel like you're like having an out-of-body experience in the playoffs.
So you talked about the recovery. Like, they're playing a game and then a day off and then a game. What's like recovery for these guys look like? They got to still be banged up, because I know when we play Sundays and then you have to jump into a Thursday game, like, for me, I'm not as nearly as sore as some of the other dudes on the team, but some of these dudes can't walk on Wednesday and then they got to play Thursday. So what's like a play on a Tuesday, off Wednesday, play again on a Thursday look like recovery wise for a guy? Like, you're definitely still sore.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like, what's changed about all sports is the old days were like rest means like laying in bed all day, like movement is medicine, right? Like getting up and moving. So like for me, I remember playing in a 2 overtime game and I lost 6,000 calories in the game.
Oh my
So
goodness,
like after
bro.
the game, I'm trying to replenish, hydrate, do everything that I can. And then the next day, like I'm getting cryotherapy, massage, 20-minute bike ride, foam roll, stretch, like that, do some yoga. Like my recovery days were more of a grind to me than like a regular game, because you are sore. All those things you're talking about are correct, but if you don't take care of that on an off day, you can't perform the next day. But then something hits, whether it's like your pregame routine, a little bit of caffeine, something.
Juice.
Like, I remember taking a little bit of pre-workout like 30 minutes before the game. Beta alanine starts hitting the blood. You start shaking. You got itchy and all that good stuff. You're like, all right, let's go. It's kill or be killed. That's the mindset.
I love that.
What about when like the injury report comes out for hockey and you never know what's wrong with the guy? It either says lower extremity or upper body injury. Like what is that? That's a rule in the NHL that they don't have to disclose it, because like NFL, you're hurt, you're on the injury report, it must be disclosed what your injury is. Like,
Hockey, we're just that's just UBI, upper body injury, LBI, lower body. It's so vague. You could have a concussion, come back, and they'll call it an upper body injury. The problem with that is like,
why they don't want guys targeting?
They don't want guys targeting it. We are playing with a weapon, which is a stick. So if someone says that you have a broken wrist, what am I going to do to you every chance I can with my hockey stick?
Power play though.
I'm gonna slash. Well, it's playoffs, so I'll find a way to do it when nobody's looking. I'll find a way after the whistle at the net front to give you a jab when there's nobody around. Like,
can we just get that all year?
Yeah.
Just get that like energy, because if you got recovery the way we do now, and you're talking about the old school, they was coming out there, eye almost out of the socket. Like, they're just different. But you guys got the science of life where we're at right now is remarkable. There's so many ways that you could recover. There's so many things that you can be doing on your own. Also, you can go down the street to restore. There's a lot of things you could do, right? But then you add that grit of the old school, right? I think if you just added both of those together, right, the recovery of now and that old school grit, sports go crazy, man. Those ratings that you're talking about, I think would actually increase, because I fell in love with hockey through playoffs. Right? Being a Penguins fan, 2017, 2018, back-to-back, right? I fell in love with the game. I was like, I never knew this existed, because I was a black kid. I ain't playing hockey. When they said you play hockey, I said, that's a white guy sport. I ain't playing hockey, right? But then I watched it, and I'm like, man, I'd have loved to play hockey growing up, just to see, because it's fast, right? Super fast, like soccer and basketball, almost football aggressive, right? And then on top of that, guys are moving. And I used to tell these guys, like, man, put me in an ice hockey ring just to fight. I don't want to do nothing else. I just want to fight. Then I seen them actually have to stand on skates.
Yeah.
I said, you know what?
I'm good.
I'm good. You know what I mean? I don't think I'd last in there.
Yeah, and I don't want to discredit like the regular season. Like, the game has gotten so fast that me at my peak couldn't play in today's game, and I'm sure your game's gotten even faster than it was 5-6 years ago. But it's just, there's just an intensity element where you just can't play with that type of desire in a regular season game. It's just,
what was more of your like forte? Like, what made you the player player that you were to get to the NHL?
Yeah, I mean, I was power forward. That was my role. I mean, I had to be physical. I had to go to the areas of the ice that nobody else wanted to go to.
The crease.
Yeah, blue paint. You know, we would call it net front ticks. That's our thing. You got to get to the blue paint, and you got to clean up the trash. And that was kind of my role. And listen, like, that's what I tell a lot of my younger athletes and people that I mentor or coach. Like, my career was not all gravy. Like, I literally was a goal-scoring power forward in the second best league in the world, which is the AHL, and that couldn't translate to the NHL. And I credit that to, like, being mentally weak. Like, I remember hitting rock bottom at 24 years old, getting a sports psychologist, then becoming the best version of myself at 26 and being told, it's too late. Like, we know you're better than this 18-year-old prospect, but he's a first-rounder. So we're going to give him a chance. So I played 150 NHL games. I played 144 before I was 25 years old, which I would argue was when I was half of the player that I was. When I was 26, I reached my full potential. I dominated the American Hockey League. I played 4 games from that age till I was 31 when I retired.
Wow.
And I just was told, you already had your chance. Sorry.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I tell these people, like, it took me to hit rock bottom to figure out how to be the best version of myself, and it was too late. So I'm not going to let that happen to you.
Right.
But
Do you think like the AHL is that much of a difference in the NHL? Like, why couldn't the 40 goals a year correlate to the NHL?
So that's a great question, and there's kind of detailed. It's my first year when I made the Penguins was the first year that Twitter came out. Okay, so naturally, as a 20-year-old kid who signs up for Facebook and all these cool apps because you want to be technology forward. What did I start doing on these apps? I started searching my name. What was everybody saying about Eric Tangradi, who's Evgeny Malkin's line mate at 20 years old who made the Penguins? Play a game. Old me, I played pretty good. Had 4 shots on goal. Didn't score. Twitter said, get this guy off his line. He can't score from anywhere. That is a Joe Schmo from who knows nothing about hockey, but as a weak, young-minded kid, beat me up.
Yeah.
Next game. Played pretty damn good. No goals. Would we give somebody else another chance? So I just got beaten up with the pro game, being 20, making the Penguins, going back to the Marriott by myself because, you remember college culture is you play the game, everybody gets together, everybody hangs out. You really you feel this team.
Pros.
You get to pro, play the game, you leave, go with his kids, go with his kids. No, you don't really hang out with anybody.
No.
You just go kind of like sit in your room and have to find a hobby. Where my unfortunate hobby was social media came out. Let me just get some self-fulfillment, some self-gratification. What are people saying about me? Well, there might have been 9 really good comments, but the one kept me up at night.
Yeah.
So I just wasn't mentally strong enough to be able to process like that because I was so new.
What kind of dictates whether you play a good game as a power forward, right? What kind of dictates if you play a good game or not if you don't score any goals?
Right. So that's old 20-year-old me, judge success off of goals and assists. When I got the sports psychologist, she said 2 amazing things. The first one was don't get stuck in the suck, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And the other one was she created process goals for me. Like, give me 5 things, Eric, that make you effective. Well, I'm physical. I finish checks. I win a lot of wall battles. I'm always at the net front. And then when I'm moving my feet, I play my best. She's like, awesome. Why don't you make a checklist? And if you said you could do all 4 of those things in a game, that's a good game.
Right.
Yeah. So when I started holding myself accountable to, like, a good game and a bad game has nothing to do with points. Because believe it or not, in hockey, you could be playing your worst game. Someone takes a slap shot off your ass and it goes in the net. Yay, me, I'm great. It's like, no, you still suck that game.
Right.
So, like, I then started judging myself off of these process goals and, like, holy shit, did I start ripping it up? But it was too late.
Wow.
So
That's
I
crazy.
think that's like, and that kind of tags into what we were saying earlier about the mental pressure that athletes and just regular people endure just with this new technology that's advancing so incredibly fast. So I think that's very important. But I also wanted to know in regards to like making the sport more flashy, let's say, because I don't want to say exciting because it's a very exciting sport. And it's a sport that when you get to the arena, it's a whole different environment than watching it for people that
100%.
don't actually watch it. Like I'm somebody that could watch a baseball game and enjoy it because I know all the intricacies, right? But you show up to a hockey game, you don't know anything, and you're just like, holy shit. But I wonder, and I'm sure this is a conversation that, the guys are having, or, maybe the old heads don't want this to happen, but is there a reality where they make the goal a little bit bigger so there are more points scored? Because we're in a society now where it's instant gratification. If there's not 15 fucking goals, like, it's probably not going to be as exciting when there is 1 or 2. Like baseball, it's a purist sport. Basketball is higher numbers. Football has higher numbers. Baseball with you got the bats and the juice balls they tried out.
Pitch count.
Guys just being freak athletes. The pitch count, keep it quick. Is there a reality where hockey starts expanding the net? And is there any other roles to kind of get the sport more, electricity, or is this one of those sports where the OGs are like, we're not doing it?
No, and I would say like the sport is certainly growing. Like some of the TV deals, like they're on the TNT and ESPN deal, has definitely helped that. Yeah. But like they have made a bunch of changes to the rules. Like I don't know if you watch, they're trying to do things to create more power plays.
Okay.
Right, because the power play is the opportunity for where all the scoring happens.
Goals, yeah.
Pretty much hockey has changed where 5-on-5, if you play the other team 0-0, that's kind of the goal. Mm-hmm. It's just who can capitalize on the power plays more.
Right.
So they're doing a lot of different things where they have adjusted the rules to create more power plays. One being if you shoot the puck over the glass in your defensive zone, it's an automatic power play. If you get high sticked in the face, 4 minutes if you show blood. On the icing rule, they've changed the icing rule where it's mandatory you can't make a line change. So they're doing a lot of things to keep the puck and the faceoffs in the offensive zone to create more offense. They did just decrease the size of the goalie gear. But I think from a traditionalist point of view, like I don't know if these guys are so good. They shoot the puck so freaking hard, like
so
increasing the goal size. Like I think they're a little bit afraid that if they were to do something like that, it could get out of control. Right? So they have this little sweet spot now.
It would be fun though, dude. Like it would be so crazy.
Be 20 to 30.
I mean, maybe not to that extreme. Even if it's like an inch, I think you get for both sides, obviously, but. I don't know. And I'm not condoning that we need to be an instant gratification society where we have to see that, get that dopamine from it. But I think it would be interesting, and both teams get the opportunity for it. And, but I'm assuming that it's one of those things because they want to bring robot umps, which I actually don't like. I like that umps in baseball like have the ability to kind of screw up, but I think to kind of transition.
Shout out Angel Hernandez.
Yeah, right. Shout out to him. Oh my God.
Jeez.
No, but I think what's to transition to that. I think like you were saying earlier, hockey is a unique sport with the reffing, and football. Like you don't. People talk about maybe having more refs there because it's kind of hard at some angles and stuff. But I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, hockey's one of those sports that they could be like, hey, and you hear them on the hot mics or whatever. They'd be like, I messed up here. I'm going to get them the next one. Like the ref saying that about a team. Like, is that just like, is that a known thing? Is that one of those golden rules, like kind of unspoken things where like you guys just have a relationship with the refs like that? Like what's the ideas around reffing?
Yeah, I always joke that I think hockey players make the best salesmen because we've been just trying to sell ourselves to the officials every single game, right?
Yeah.
Like, come on, you missed one, you owe me one, you owe me one. And it's like, okay. We're always trying to negotiate leverage with the officials.
Yeah.
But no, to your point, like the last thing about the rule change is like 3-on-3 was an opportunity in overtime to allow more skill, to showcase more speed, less players, more ice, and I think that's been pretty effective. But I do think hockey does a really good job of like allowing players' personalities to shine, and some of that is like conversations with the ref whenever there's a whistle, and then there's these net front scrums, and you're cross-checking people, and you're chirping, like you get the bench view of guys talking shit to each other. Like I do think our sport has really allowed personalities to grow. But I agree, it's a totally different experience watching it live versus watching it on TV.
God,
they still haven't mastered a way to like find a damn puck on the TV. Like,
Right,
I played the game, and sometimes I'm like, well, where is it? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do think they're doing a better job with allowing our personalities to shine. They got away. We used to have a suit rule for pregame. You had to wear a suit to the game. Now they're letting guys dress down a little bit, showcase their personalities. But it's just going to take time. I think it's going to take time. Like, naturally, like the most popular sport in the world is soccer because any kid in any country can get a soccer ball or make a soccer ball, right? It's just the avenue and the gateway into the sport is always going to be a restriction, and it's improving a little bit.
Yeah, no, I like that.
We talked about the Nets. I don't think they could ever do that. These guys are ripping this puck in the corners already. But I want to talk about the goalies. Like what? How do you judge? Can you naked eye look at a goalie and be like, this guy's got extreme talent as a goaltender, and how do you even see that? By the way he shifts side to side, his size. I don't, because like you see a goaltender without pads on, you're like,
And are they typically savage animals?
Yeah, like are
something
they like
wrong
sickos?
with these guys? Like,
Yeah. Oh no, there's something wrong with
Yeah.
them. Yeah. we always joke like there's hockey players and then there's goalies.
Gotcha.
They have these
There's
weird
always
pregame routines. In all the gear, they look well built, and then when they don't, they look like they don't eat.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
they
the
look like
crazy
little
part
stick
about hockey.
figures.
I
It's
thought they
crazy.
were fat guys when I first
Yeah.
saw it. I was like, he's
Yeah.
a big
Right.
guy. That's where you put the big guy on the ice. Like,
Yeah, I played goalie growing up always.
Yeah.
But like naturally, goalies, like if you build a goalie in a lab, like he's 6'5", 200 pounds. He's got to have hips that are not normal. Like most of them are bow-legged just because of
Yeah.
the movement in the net. But that's one of the positions where like, yes, you have to be great, but like if you're 5'8", like you're just never going to play goalie in the National Hockey League. It's just kind of how it is.
Yeah, with hockey being as brutal as it is, it does blow my mind to see some of the guys off the ice, and you're like,
Yeah.
you are the one that murders people on ice. Like,
but
are
then
you
there's also
serious?
some that you're like, you should play football.
Well, that's why I'm vouching for like, let's get more people hockey sticks and get them on the ice. I want to see Myles Garrett lining up with Ray Lewis, and I want
don't.
to see them play hockey.
I don't want to see Myles Garrett on skates, bro.
I want to see it.
But it's funny. It's kind of like the offensive lineman build, right? You hear about these like farm boys from the Midwest who are
Yeah.
just like, they're big, they're beasts, but they have this strength that's like unheard of. A lot of these Western like Canadian boys grew up in like the oil rigs or these small communities. Like they're farm strong, and they might be 185 pounds on skates, but like they have a strength to their forearms and in their hands that are like is just unheard of, and it's just the way they grew up. So it's similar to like the offensive lineman, but minus 200 pounds.
That leads me into the next question. Like, what makes you read about Crosby being so strong with the puck and like his balance, everything like that. What makes like a hockey player, strong with the puck? Is it your hip flexibility, being able to bend and like take on, a pressure from somebody and hold the puck, your forearms?
Casey Hampton
hands.
could lean on Sidney Crosby with a hockey puck on his stick and it wouldn't move. It's the craziest thing I've seen ever.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
It's
though.
literally core to the kneecaps. I mean,
Right.
if you see a hockey player, like legs and ass, man, we're just like machines. Like
Yeah.
I used to wear like
Unreal.
a full size 40 waist, and I was in the best shape of my life. And I'm just not going to sugarcoat. Like we have like the biggest legs. Like it's just basically every player looks like Saquon. Right, like they just have quads and an ass that just like is huge, and that's all our sport is like you're in a seated position and you're using your legs, your core, and your butt to just protect the puck and skate, and it's where all the power gets generated. Where we have these little tiny pathetic forearms, we can bench press 200 pounds on a good day, but we just are just strong in the right areas.
Jeez, dude, it's so different.
Damn, so that's a lot of squats.
Yeah.
That's all I can think about. But you're also a coach now, right?
Yep.
So you talk about the game and how you feel like certain parts of it's becoming soft, right? But in your coaching era, I know that you try to like force to try to get some of your kids to be the era in which that you enjoy hockey, right? So like, what are you currently doing right now as a coach to try to change the era in which that you want to see?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question because I think it's hard to bring out intangibles in kids, right? It's hard to say like I need you to work harder, right? Like you can say that, and I have a saying with my team like don't talk about it, be about it, and that's like my saying.
Bro.
They all say the right thing, right? They all say like I want to be better, I want to do this. It's like don't talk about it, like let's be about it. So for me, like I try to coach as a motivator, but at the same time, like there is non-negotiable work ethic and have some fight, some fight in you. So I feel like my gift to the game of hockey is to be able to observe it structurally, systemally, like try to really teach the game. But when it comes to the intangibles, like you kind of have to be a motivator. You have to be able to read every kid different.
Yeah.
Right.
You might have a kid who thinks he's working hard enough and is the man, and you might have to knock him down a little bit, and you might have to tell him like give him some tough love. But then you might have the other kid who might need a little bit of motivation, where it's like, man, if you could just get your feet moving and you played at that intensity every shift, like you could be special,
Right.
And that's a little bit of that motivation. We grew up in an era where we were just pieces of shit every day we woke up, right? That's the old coaching mentality of like it didn't matter what you did, it was never good enough, and I think that's okay. But as fragile as these young kids are today, like it's all basically like different. I joke with my wife like the 5 love languages, right? I'm trying to learn the love languages of my athletes, right? I'm trying to learn how you might need a different communicator than you might need a hug, and you might need a little bit of this. So I'm trying to make the precedent that no matter what, we're going to work hard.
Right.
If I have to teach work ethic, we got a problem. But you have to instill that in different ways as you learn these kids' love language.
There was one love language that I think if you got called soft, that was like the biggest. Like you're playing soft or you played soft, that was like to me that was like the biggest insult ever. Like if you got called soft or your game got called soft, whether you're on the hoop court, I don't care where the fuck you were. If you got called soft, that was all our coaches said. You're playing soft.
Oh, it's on.
That's all it took.
Yeah.
That was all it took. But now kids need a hug. Kids need a pat on the back.
If you call a kid soft these days, bro, I'm being so serious. They might lose it and quit the game. Like, they might walk off the field. And the reason why I say this is, like, it used to be, like, the tangible. If a coach was yelling at me, I'd always be like, bet, watch this. Because I'm coming with something different the next time. Nowadays, guys just stop. Like, if you don't give them the loving that they need, they just won't perform at all. Well, it's crazy.
What's changed the most is I think that we could receive that feedback from coaches. The kids can't now. So, like, what I try to do is try to emphasize, like, the group, it needs to be infectious, right? Like, you have to have your top guys work a certain way in practice, and that's going to be infectious on the other one. So, for me, I try to bring the leadership group together, the captains, and I'm going to say, like, I need you to be the guy that tells him he's soft. I need you to tell him he needs to work harder, because it's going to be more receptive from their peers than from a coach. Because you're right. Coach tells them, they go home, someone pats them on the back, like, you're fine. But if their teammate tells them that kind of hurts a little bit.
You got to deal with it on your own. You can't tell mom that.
Yeah, right. So you try to, like, you have to have every winning team, every championship team, it's an infectious environment of, like, the way you want to play and the work ethic and all that stuff.
So what leads into, being a good NHL coach or any professional hockey league coach? Like, what does it take to be a good NHL professional hockey league coach?
It's probably similar across all sports. Like, you have to be able to manage people and get the most out of people.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to coach. I can't coach the way I'm coaching a prep school in the NHL. Like, there are players on a team that are bigger than me that I could lose respect from pretty quickly. Like, who are you to tell me you were if I were to tell Sidney Crosby, he wouldn't say it, but if I were to tell him, like, as his coach, like, you need to be bigger and stronger and compete more, he'd be like, you're a fourth liner. You played 150 games. Like, who are you? Like, he could say that, right? So instead of me you can't challenge the superstars.
Yeah.
You just have to create an environment where, like, you give them the autonomy to lead and create the culture and create the environment, but you just have to manage people and emotions.
Yeah. I feel like that's all Mike T. I mean, Mike T is an unreal X's and O's, and then I think about hockey. How much X's and O's off a face-off go into hockey? Probably a lot. And, like, the whole power play, like, there are set plays that you guys run, which is kind of crazy to me because everything's so fast-paced moving. You don't know if one guy's hurt and limping off the ice, your play's not set up. So how does that work? Like, drawing up plays off face-off wins, like, you don't even know if you're going to
Right.
Do you know if you're going to win the face-off to who you're going to?
Yeah, that's what's unique about hockey. Like, you can't naturally, like, get another team's scouting report. Like, you can, but it's a game. The puck bounces a million different ways. Like, we're going to have a forecheck. They're going to have a forecheck. We're going to do things to try to beat their forecheck, and they're going to do things. We may have a couple different tactical things we can change throughout the game, but, like, there are no, like, true set plays. Face-off plays, every team has about 12 face-off plays. So we practice those all training camp, all year. And you're right. Hey, we're going to run this play. It's going to go back to the right D. Well, guess what? It gets one to the left D. That's off.
Gone.
We're going to shoot on net. So we have all these plays, but naturally, like, there's a lot more positional awareness.
Yeah.
And a lot more, like, it's a read and react game, not like naturally like a positional game.
So basically, however well your teams gel, the best team that gels together, they're going to win.
Right, reading off of each other.
Yeah.
Right? You might be in my spot, I got to go to your spot. That needs to happen in like a tenth of a second. If it doesn't, it's in the back of our net.
Will there be times where players have more of a knack and instinct and be like, listen, put me on the line with him, and let us go? Or will an NHL coach kind of shut that down and be like, no, I'll tell you who to play with?
Yeah, I mean,
or
I
the
think
GM or somebody, because I see it in football, like, sometimes coaches don't know what players are coming in. Like, they don't. And then they're just put out there, and they're like, hey, this is the player we got for you. Make it work. Does that happen with hockey? Or do players kind of be like, put me with Sid in this? Well, no request playing with Sid, but whoever, because I play with that guy, and we have chemistry, boom. Or would a coach be like, no, fuck no?
No, I mean, I think every training camp, coaches are trying to mesh guys together. Everyone needs to bring technically something different on a line. You can't put 3 skill guys on a hockey line together. Like, you need somebody to go get the puck. So usually a lot of these really good teams have like a heavy winger who finishes checks. Tom Wilson, Washington Capitals, right? Like, he's a first line player, but he doesn't have first line skill. But that puck's getting chipped in that corner, I like my chances of Tom Wilson getting it over, a skill guy. So
why Tom? Why is he so good at that? It's just grit.
6'4", 235 pounds. If you want to touch it before me, it's going to hurt. And
Likes
some guys
contact.
even some guys don't want that. They're not about that.
I love that.
So there's an intimidation factor of like, okay, so you put Ovechkin with him. Well, guess what? He's going to separate the puck. That's part one. Then you want to get the puck to the skill guy. So usually your centers are your most skilled players. And then you have a scorer. So you have power forward, skilled center, shooter. And that makes up the best lines. So your point, like, yeah, there might be a time where Sid thinks this is best, and if teams are in a slump, they'll switch things up. But the game is so fast, like the word chemistry is hockey. Yeah. Like I need to feel where you are on the ice. And I need to know that we've done it so many times that when I get this puck here and there's someone about to hit me at 25 miles an hour, I know you're there, and that's how quick we have to react. Where you can't just put 3 people who never played together on a line because – that might be that extra quarter of a second that creates turnover, or is the play's dead?
See, that's like me as a normal fan of hockey. I'm like, why don't we put Crosby, Malkin, all of our guys on one line? Like, what are we doing? We'd win every game.
They're the same player, right? So you need someone to get the puck. That's why Brian Rust plays so well with Sidney Crosby, because he's a power forward. He goes and gets the pucks, and then he'd get pucks to Crosby, and then Crosby used to find Gensel. Gensel left. That's why we didn't have the year that we had. You can't replace some of these dynamics that teams have already built. And then when players leave and come, you can't just say, well, he did it here, let's insert him there. Like, they need time to figure it out.
Wow.
Who's your player right now in the NHL that you're like most infatuated with his game? Like Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews. These are just.
I just found out about Connor McDavid.
Oh my God, dude, he's ridiculous.
He's
the one, him and his line mate, I don't know who it was, and
Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah,
they had a game-winning one time. Like, it was fucking nasty. I mean, he got the puck, he did a little move around somebody, passed it, top shelf, game over. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Well, like as a football player, right? Do you ever have moments when you watch a game and you see something, and as the time you're seeing it, and like he should go to, the ball's already thrown?
Yes.
Like that's a special person, right?
Yes.
Because you know in the moment in the game, he doesn't have a bird's eye view of the game, and the same time you're thinking it's happening live. You're like, that guy's like unbelievable.
Ridiculous.
Or like, oh, he should cut back, and it just does it. Like there's certain things in hockey when I'm watching that when I see a player do something like at the same time that I'm saying he should do it, and I'm watching on a bird's eye, like that guy is special. So like I love McDavid, but Draisaitl is like the way he passes the puck and protects it. Him, Rantanen on Dallas, he's like completely taken over hockey games the last 2 weeks. He's off the charts. But it's hard not to love Florida. They just have this dynamic of like Barkov, Matthew Tkachuk. Their decor Seth Jones has been playing unbelievable. So those are the guys that like I watch with the IQ mentality of like they're making plays at the same time I'm thinking about them as I'm watching, and I think I have an elite mind for the game. I'm like, these guys are
and
insane.
they're doing it like
Yeah.
An example for me for that would be like, I remember my rookie year, I'm watching Roethlisberger, and Ben's like was a machine. Like he could make any throw, even when they said that he had no arm left or whatever they said that he retired, whatever. That dude had an arm. He'd be looking this way, and like we'd be on that sideline watching. You'd be like, "Oh my God, he's open over here." But Ben was like looking this way, and it'd just be like,
yeah.
And he would just like no, and be looking this way and throw a 10-yard out on the sideline where only our guy could get it. It was like I was looking at that from over there. You were looking this way, but we're throwing it that way.
Right.
It was fucking crazy.
I think that's us being like slowly taking away from the game in the game of football. And the only reason why I say that because Ben had that old school savvy.
Oh my God.
Kids nowadays, like you see a lot of NFL coming at like college football to a degree in terms of playbook, making it simplified, all the above. Ben would do things, and everybody who's a Pittsburgh fan would be like, "Oh my God, that's crazy." His pump fakes, all the above, right? And then now watching hockey, again, I know nothing about hockey. I'm telling you this right now, face to face. We're saying this, right? Okay, so we're on the same page. I could not know shit about hockey, but watch Crosby and be like, damn.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I know nothing about hockey. I watch Connor McDavid. I'm like, what the hell is that? You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, guys have these gifts to slow down the game, right?
Yeah.
It's a game that goes so fast, it's so sporadic, and then in that short moment when the puck's on their stick, it's like everything just kind of just like settles in. And you're like, how the hell did he do it? Like that's a gift. Like he's incredible.
You ever watch Cars? The movie
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Cars?
yeah.
You know how he's like, I want to go fast, and everything's like slow around him, but
Yeah.
you know he's moving.
There's
certain players like that.
That's
You
that
know
moment,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? They slow everything down. Right now, I'm in the NBA playoffs. Shout out to your man. You know what I'm saying? I got
balling,
the
bro.
Pacers. I need the Pacers to win right now.
That would be.
I need the Pacers to win right now. But I will say my favorite player right now is Ant-Man, AE.
Yeah.
Right? And because he gives me that feel of an old school player. He's going to play defense. He's going to play offense. And he's going to talk his shit. And he's going to talk directly to you. So you know he's talking about you. Right?
him.
Who's that guy in the NHL right now that kind of gives that instance where it's like almost old school? Like if he's on the ice, he's going to talk shit to you. He's coming with it. He's that guy, whether you like it or not.
Please say Kachuk.
Well,
though.
it's Matthew Tkachuk just
Yeah.
because Tom Wilson did it, but they're out right now. They got knocked out by Carolina. But, like, the Tkachuk brothers put hockey back on the map in that
did.
USA brawl that happened, right?
Right.
Like, those were the guys who, in a group chat, were like, we're all going to fight to start the game to set the tone, right?
that's what I
So
love.
he's a 100-point guy. He's a superstar. Mouthpiece in the side of his mouth, always leaning over the boards, talking shit the entire game. So he's that guy that we have in our game that just does it all. And
Yeah.
he's unbelievable.
He instantly became my favorite hockey player after USA
I
Canada.
remember you texted me right
I
after
was
that
like,
game.
this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
That was the best.
That's awesome.
And then they orchestrated it. I mean, obviously Canada knew, like. they
You're
knew.
never going to bet against Sidney Crosby. You're from Pittsburgh. You know better.
I know, but Kachuk has become my second favorite
You know
player of all time, behind Tango.
Yeah, nice. There we go.
But dude, no, I appreciate you coming in. I don't want to hold you here too long, boys. It's been real. This fully wraps up season 1. Wow.
Wow.
Congratulations,
Next
Christian.
episode, season 1, episode 46. Finished with our first hockey guy. Tango, again, thank you. Like, share, subscribe, retweet, repost. Do all the TikTok shit that we talked about. I don't know how I don't do the social media thing. Next episode. Bang! Bang! Bang!